So everyone, welcome officially to Thoughts on Thursday, season 2, kind of episode 2. We're really excited to kind of shift gears a little bit today. Not so much talk about hard skills in the industry, not so much talk about industry tech, not let Andrew rant and rave about hospitality technology, but actually talk about some of the tough stuff that's going on around finding a job. So I'm James Lemon, so CEO, founder of the GrowthWorks, which really started life as a consultancy in hospitality, trying to turn it into more of a movement, which is really helping hotel chains look ahead and innovate and move faster, helping hospitality technology businesses really serve hotel chains brilliantly. So that's me in a nutshell. Patrick?
Yes. So, hello everybody. So yeah, my background was IHG originally. It was for 13 years, but also spent a lot of time in operations. I set up Lightbulb about 4 years ago, and we kind of focus on 3 areas, which is really the consulting side, hospitality consulting, focusing really on commercial rather than sort of the broad aspects of hospitality, so revenue, sales, marketing, digital systems, etc.
Cool. Let's get into it. So, yeah, for those of you that don't know, this is a weekly discussion that the GrowthWorks network has. We really just want to bring together today and tomorrow's leaders in hospitality, and really sharing, exploration, support are really the key themes of what we're doing. We call it mentorship, but actually I think more and more it's just about connection and support and helping each other out. So that's kind of what we're all about. Today's session, we wanted to be a bit different. This is a series of 10 sessions we're running over the next few weeks. You can see today we really wanted to open up for everyone, because I think the initial thoughts of the forum was, well, actually, why are we just keeping this to us when there's so much stuff on our LinkedIn feeds and our social media that clearly people are looking for answers and want to put their best foot forward right now. We're also going to be opening up in about 3 weeks' time a session on why we're mentees and why menteeship is a great idea. So Patrick and I are going to cover 4 things.
But we also forgot to mention that we were going to have Matthew Miosh join us, but unfortunately he's ill. So James and I are a poor substitute for Matthew and his insight also.
Great chat. Yep.
But so I think we've got 4 kind of main themes that James and I and Matthew were originally talking around. You know, how do you get yourself ready for a potential job change? And that's sort of, you know, physical, tactical things that you can do to try and make yourself ready, but also a mindset change. And I think the first one there is really around broadening your options and keeping that mindset open. So, you know, no surprise to anybody on this call now, you know, the hospitality industry is really struggling at the moment. There are more and more people who are being made redundant every day. LinkedIn is quite depressing, seeing some of those things happening from, you know, people that I've worked for many years with at IHG and previous companies, all being all struggling and potentially being made redundant or reduced hours and so on. So it's struggle, right? We get it. But then on the flip side, there are, when those jobs also do come up, there are new jobs that do come up, there's going to be a lot of competition for them. So I guess one of our kind of my main things that I want to sort of keep you guys focused on is, how do you get to the maybe and the yes pile of that interview, and then how do you crack an interview and how you go forward to potentially get that job? If there's going to be 400 to 500 odd people that are potentially applying for a role, how do you make sure that you stand out there? You know, but also what roles are you potentially going to be going for? Some of you might be really keen on, you know what, my whole focus has been luxury. I've only ever done luxury, and I only want to work in these departments. Well, the reality is we know that luxury hotels are really struggling at the present moment in time, and the ones that are starting to come back are maybe those limited service economy brands, and then also some of those apartment type style hotels. Those have been more resilient. How broad are we thinking about how we would approach these?
I think it's really important we think outside the traditional sector, because I'm seeing 2 things on LinkedIn. I'm seeing a lot of traditional hotel jobs disappearing, but I am seeing quite a lot of energy in other sectors where new jobs are popping up. So people like Muse and SiteMinder, I've seen kind of hiring in the last few days. And I think just from an industry perspective, you're seeing companies have restructured and a lot of jobs have gone. But very soon afterwards, you see those same companies hiring again, but in other areas. Like they've decided to focus on new areas of their strategies and new areas of growth. So it becomes this kind of double-edged sword. But definitely something to think about. Now, top tip is definitely think outside the traditional sector. So you follow Patrick's advice, and you've thought, well, look, actually, what do I really want to do? What am I really passionate about? Hopefully you've done that more around soft skills and your why, your mission, rather than, I really want to be, on a front desk. So we know that some of those front office roles have gone. We know that a lot of roles in restaurants and bars are gone. We know that a lot of traditional customer service roles in hospitality have gone. But who's hiring? Well, a lot of people have shifted to remote customer service. A lot of these tech startups are still funded, and they're going to be robust through. And actually, from the discussions I've been having, a lot of tech startups would kill for great hospitality people who are well networked, who know deeply how processes and systems work in hotels. So don't just think you've been doing a role in a hotel. Really step back and think, well, what skills have you got about how hotels work and about what expertise we have. So, but the next one is definitely what I like to rant and rave about is I'm really frustrated by how many people I am interviewing and talking to that are just frankly doing nothing with their time. And they tell me that they want to work in a space, and you just give an example of something they've done in that space, and it's just way out of date, or they've just absolutely missed an opportunity. And again, this is true for hiring at the more senior end. If you've been in a big corporate and you really want to try startup land, well, you should probably be volunteering your time at a friend's startup and giving them a hand with marketing or growth or customer experience or finance or whatever it is that you do. Yeah, perfect. So that's it. We are like that's the thoughts from Patrick and I and our time and experience. Yeah, makes sense. Laura, you had a question.
Great. So I'm currently searching for a job, and so I've got my CV with my key bullet points with some of the core what I achieved in the role, or that kind of fleshes out what I've done. Can I be transferring those same bullet points onto LinkedIn, or should LinkedIn be looking different? Should I be having sentences on LinkedIn? What's the difference between LinkedIn CV and a CV?
Yeah, I think the thing perhaps is, and it depends on the sort of seniority of the roles that you're applying for. I think where it potentially would be different would be exactly as you're saying. So as Chris said, if you're going for a sort of student accommodation type thing, your LinkedIn CV, your LinkedIn profile wouldn't necessarily change dramatically for each role, because you might be paying for a couple of roles and you wouldn't necessarily be able to change it so everyone would see the same thing. I think a CV perhaps can be more tailored to the particular role that you're going for. The LinkedIn one can be a little bit more generic, but I would still call out the top things in each role that you achieved first, rather than the actual role, than what you did, the day-to-day operations of the role, because people will understand what that is. So I would really call out those real top accomplishments, especially if they're transferable skills. So if you were able to drive, staff engagement at a high level for X period of time, it doesn't matter whether you're doing student accommodation, service departments, banking, startup, or whatever. That skill is absolutely transferable, and people want to understand more about that. So that would stay there.
Yeah. Keela, did you want to ask your question about probation? I think that links to what Patrick's saying.
Yeah, sure. So I had a question due to the current situation. If you do find a job and you find yourself in a position where you have to research the company and then you want to find out more, is it kind of acceptable to ask for no probation period, or maybe a shorter probation period to ensure maybe a little bit of job security?
You talk about the new company. Yeah, I mean, my sense is if you are the ace candidate and you get to that final stage, there's a small chance, but I think that's really rare, and I probably wouldn't recommend it. One of the things I would look at for around that kind of initial start with a company, which kind of links to Patrick's point, is there will be companies out there that are looking for more freelancers, and again, this is all about, can you deliver? Can we build trust? So actually, do be open to more of a freelance role that might then go permanent. Or frankly, and a spin on your point, Akila, is if it's a permanent role, but you're not 100% sure, you think they're not 100% sure, maybe suggest actually starting on a contract. That's the other thing that I've seen a lot, is that, there's a kind of permanent role out there, but actually, you know what, I'm pretty flexible to start now. We could just set up a contract. We could start sooner. And frankly, even if they end up kind of looking to hire in the background, it's another experience for you. it's something else to be keeping busy with. Yeah, perfect. Saba, you got a question around industry change. So we're going to be doing some sessions on industry changes in the GrowthWorks, but I definitely want to hear this.
Hi. Yeah. So I was just wondering, like, a lot of the times when someone makes an industry change, it has a lot to do with like a personal reason. Usually, it's not because of a change in passion, or it's not because of a change suddenly in the interest that you began in a previous industry with. So how do you really translate that so that it doesn't become too personal, or like so that it continues to look professional? Because a lot of the times you can't always share everything extremely honestly, but you need to also not lie, right? So how do you like translate that during an interview when someone asks you? It kind of relates to the whole "tell me about yourself" question, like when you talk about what you've previously done, etc.
Yeah. Look, I mean, my top tip here is you do need to try and find a common thread, and chances are you can. You know, even if you've gone through 2 or 3 different roles, kind of having your own story of your career is something you will always be asked about. And if there's something that does look a bit different, like an industry change or gone to a new country, or you leave a job sooner than a kind of, you know, standard 2 to 3 year period, you will always be asked about it. So you just have to have your kind of answer ready of, yeah, you know what, I was really passionate about the leader, or they approached me and I just loved the mission, even though it was in this totally different sector. Or, you know, I was all about caring for customers and I could see that was going to be a big part of the new role as well. I think you just have to be able to explain everything away in a relatively positive spin, unless it is just one of those throw your arms up in the air that, bloody hell, there's nothing I could do. I was made redundant and that's the next job that came along. But that's a last resort storyline. I think trying to look like you've taken control of your career and there's a real plan about it, and a plan about all the actions you're doing day to day, I think is really important, frankly, to give someone confidence you're going to stick with the next thing, and that oh, you've really thought about the fact you're sitting here in front of me. And then Sandro, you had a great question about personality, which I thought was a good one. So if you want to ask that, that's fab. Otherwise I can. So Sandro is one of our mentors down from Latin America. Go ahead.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
So about that, we know that during some interviews we have standard questions and we can be prepared for that. But about the personality, what I really want to know is how to deal with the judgment, you know? Sometimes I'm really not good during interviews. If I was trying to remember, I think I passed just for 2 or 3 of them. All the others was no. So even I've been prepared, I read a lot, and I answer the right questions every time that I do some tests and all those kind of things. It's okay, but it's when is the time face to face. I don't know what happened, and didn't happen. Yeah. So I don't know if it's about the personality. So how the image can impact during the decision process.
So, I mean, the simple answer is unfortunately that it does matter quite a lot. But for you, Sandro, I actually think you were probably being hard on yourself, because I think you're a great character, and I think everyone I know loves spending time with you. But I think, look, the big thing on this is a phrase we used to use, which is called the airport test, which is if you miss a flight and you get stuck with this person in an airport for 3 hours, is that going to be a terrible experience or a great experience? And so I do think that you should always leave every interview knowing that you've left a little bit of yourself there in terms of passion and interest and energy, because there is when you're working with someone, increasingly it is about authenticity and it is about creating that trust and that bond. So it's very unlikely you will get hired unless someone likes you, unless there is a connection. There is definitely a hard skills and a kind of a, can they do this work? Are they good for the organization? But especially as it's likely to be your line manager or, someone who's kind of dotted line involved, they are going to need to know that, you're the kind of person they can have workshops with and have a lunch with and get stuck in an airport. So guys, I do want to wrap up because we're pretty strict about finishing on time. Last thing I'd say, if you're not a part of the GrowthWorks community yet, it doesn't get any better than this. So, but do drop me an email on james@thegrowthworks, or it's thegrowthworks.com/mentoring. Come and join. It's completely free to either give up your time as a mentor or kind of share thoughts as a mentee. But keep the discussion going, guys. There's so much in this space, isn't there? So much you can be doing, but try and stay confident. keep working on yourself, keep being passionate about each opportunity you're pursuing, and try and make a list of those little checklist, little details, pinging people on LinkedIn before you interview, pinging them a thank you note afterwards, all of those little checklist details, just keep getting them right, and good things will definitely happen. There are jobs out there to be found. It's just different. It's just different from what we used to. So thank you for your time. Appreciate we ran over 5 minutes. Try not to do that normally. Guys, it's been fab. Patrick, awesome job as guest host. Chris, thanks for stepping in at the last minute. And we'll see you guys all soon in one way or another. Stay safe.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all.
Thank you.